Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Masal khair. Hello, Doha. Great to be here again for the second edition of the Web Summit Qatar. Congratulations to the organizers. What a fantastic event again.
Absolutely.
Lovely to see you, Troy and Mark. Let's dive straight into the topic of the dullness of advertisements, or the opposite.
The lack of dullness is the goal today.
So tell me, Troy, first of all, why is distinction so important? We've heard it. Global ad spend topped at $1 trillion in 2024. Incredible. So why does distinction matter and standing out from the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, our job is to be able to create breakthrough and to be able to get not just attention, but to get conversion. And unfortunately, as algorithms get further along, we end up in more similar places. And ultimately, I think algorithms are flattening culture in many ways. So what we get then is the cost of that is a bunch of work that feels familiar, that feels invisible, and then ultimately that becomes quite dull. And that costs money. It costs in the vicinity of about $109 million not to be dull.
Wow.
So for our clients, we obviously need to go and break through. And distinction, on the other hand, is really important. So if I look at a slide that we've got here from our good partners at Interbrand, this slide, which will come up at some point, we'll make sure it goes again here, is a slide that talks about from the world's top 25 brands. It looked at the top 100 brands of the last 25 years. And what's quite amazing about that is when you see the performance of those brands, we all know what the S&P looks like, and the S&P has been on a very good run for the last 25 years. But when you then look at the performance of the brands that have been occurring over 25 years that are the top 100 brands, it far outstrips the performance of the S&P. Then those brands that are the most clear, that have the most distinctive assets, that then move into the most new experiences that could extend that promise, they again outperform the market share. So there's a business case for actually being distinct that's measured over 25 years, that has been confirmed by NASDAQ, and really validates ultimately the mission that we all know, that it's so important to break through and to not be dull.
Mark, over to you. Why is distinction so important for you and for Hilton Hotels?
Thanks for the question and for being here with my partner, Troy. I mean, if you think about it, every single day, we as humans will make, I think, 35,000 decisions. 5,000 brands will try to get into us as we're making those decisions. And I'm sorry to report, the human attention span is less than 7 seconds, which means if there was a staring contest with a goldfish, you would lose. And so as a brand, we're trying to make our narrative come across in that environment. And never, I think, ever in the course of human history has it been easier to buy access to customers, and yet you have to earn your way into attention. It's a true sea of sameness. In our category, I think a lot about the fact that our competitor is not any one of the hotel brands. It's indifference. It's not caring which hotel brand and where I stay. And so we had this interesting moment in 2020. We had a little extra free time as we sat out the pandemic and we're trying to figure out how to recover the business. We called our partners at TBWA and said, we need to disrupt the marketplace. And what we noticed time and time again was people were advertising the category. People were advertising travel, but not our role in the story. Look, it's very easy to market travel. Open up your window, look outside, beautiful sunset, there you go. And every advertising was following the tropes of people on paddleboards doing goat yoga with goji berries. That is not my experience traveling most nights. And in fact, we're not in the travel business, we're in the business of the stay. And what we unlocked was our role starts when you cross the transom of our hotels and come through those doors, and that's when the story of the stay begins.
And you just mentioned this keyword, it's about the stay, about the experience, and with Hilton Hotels you have this campaign for the stay, it's called. So it seems like building distinct brands really works. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, we're in the franchising business. Our job is to create brands that customers love, that command market premiums, that cause other people to invest in building more hotels. At any given time, we have about $55 billion of other people's capital building great hotels because they out-deliver the market. Well, why do they out-deliver the market? It's because we know our unique role. We know our role in culture. We know what differentiates our hotels across all 24 brands. So in a market like Qatar, you've got 16 of our hotels in the market, 2 Waldorf Astorias and a number of other brands. How do we tell the story of what makes each brand different, but also together as one narrative around Hilton? When we thought about it, the stay is what we were founded upon. Our founder 105 years ago said it was our job to fill the earth with the light and warmth of hospitality. He didn't say we're in the lodging business. He didn't say we're in the travel business. He said we're in the stay business. And for us, that stay comes together. And again, what we uncovered in doing the research with our partners at TBWA is the stay is the combination of great physical design, beautiful spaces that inspire you, great service design, people serving people with human hospitality, all enabled by great technology. Any one of our competitors can pick one of those things and be great at it, but the combination of the three together and then activated by great storytelling, that's how you break out and you make yourself more distinct in an otherwise crowded marketplace.
And this is so important because here in the Gulf Arab region and especially in Doha, I see new hotels mushrooming every day, and I'm feeling like I spend every night in a different hotel. It's absolutely booming, the hospitality sector and the quality and the service industry, of course, as well. Now, in practice, Troy, how do you actually build distinction, and how can you use platforms and ecosystems to support that?
So you have to have a very clear impression of what is the convention of the category. And unfortunately, there are more and more conventions as we all go through it. As Mark said, in the travel industry, there are a lot of cliche, a lot of images that appear, and we have to have a really good understanding of that. But you also have to have a very clear, defined point of view about what you want to be as a brand. And I think in the case for Mark, I mean, they were very clear about what assets they wanted to build. Bringing Paris back into the franchise was really important. She was a key figure in helping us bring back another level of personality, but also helping to define the things that I think we could then extend as well. So if you think about it, it's not just advertising. Some of the experiences that Mark and his team were able to create were pretty unique. The Wicked experience that you can kind of see on the screen up there. Others there that people would pay a premium to be able to have that experience. It redefined what actually traveling was, and it was truly about staying in such a unique place. So clarity is really important. Breaking the convention is necessary. And then I think being able to make sure that once you have that platform, that one, you stay with it for the journey, but you try and find new ways in which to express that and put that into new experiences. And the Hilton team has just been an incredible partner to be able to do that. They're looking for opportunities all the time. They embrace innovation, which is hugely important as well. I mean, one of the great examples of Mark's team is that they came to us to talk about Hilton Honors and how to launch that program. They were the first people ever to crack a 10-minute TikTok. Normally it's 7 seconds of which they will maintain their level of presence. So imagine going to someone to say, we're going to do a 10-minute TikTok. No one's going to watch that. Well, yes, they did. And it broke all the records that you could imagine, and the impact was great. So you have to have bravery as well. And I think what we love in our partnership is the honesty, the experimentation, but also the commitment to, when we say that we've got a strong platform, now let's go find ways to express that they can break through and not be like everyone else in our category.
Yes, and especially as you mentioned, experiences are so important, and also money can't buy experiences. All about adventures, I guess, in the travel business as well. Now, Mark, what about you? Like, how to build distinction and how to expand platforms like these?
I think Troy hit it right on the head. I mean, so many marketers are going from advertising campaign to advertising campaign. It's tempting to do. And the analog I would give you would be like trying to go to the bar and try to find your future spouse by announcing, who wants to marry me, right? And just having one shot at having that happen, versus saying, who wants to go on the next date with me? Who wants to go on the next date? And you go on this journey one step at a time. That's what a platform unlocks for you, right? Yeah. You don't have to win everything in one fell swoop. You have a chance to tell that story. And so what we did with TBWA is we first found the convention, as Troy said. We found how we're going to push back to it. We decided our unique role in culture. And everything we're doing is just asking for the next date. It's just asking for the next moment to have a go at it. It makes you, in some ways, braver as a marketer because you're not going to lose much. The 10-minute TikTok, when the team pitched it, I didn't get it, if I'm being honest. But it checked all the boxes, right? It fit our purpose for who we are in a world that's on the go. Would you stop and stay? It embraced innovation. If it didn't work, okay, you move to the next thing. If it did work, like it did, you triple down on it, you invest, you put more dollars behind it and invest and move it forward. The tricky part, as Troy said earlier, is as a marketer, not getting bored with your own work, right? Consumers need to see it over and over and over again, delivered through different modalities, different creative, different ways of saying the same story, but the same story over and over again. That's how you become famous. That's how you become distinctive. And having a platform has made us braver as marketers.
Absolutely. Now, Mark, you are the CMO. of Hilton hotels. And obviously, we just heard it from Troy, this is an expensive business, advertisements as well. The costs are rising and so on. How do you sell this beautiful package to your CEO and to your stakeholders as well?
Yeah, if I may be so bold, I think where most CMOs go off the rails is when they don't understand how their company makes money. When they don't understand the business they're in. And so when I'm at the table having a conversation, marketing is my tool, but I'm there to deliver performance on behalf of the company.
All right.
What is our capital allocation strategy? How do we make money for our fiduciary responsibilities to all of our franchisees? What is it that moves the needle forward? And so people fell in love with the idea of creating a brand platform. That was very easy, right away. But we turned to the team and said, well, show us companies in the S&P 500. How do they perform, those who don't have a platform versus those that do? At the end of the day, it's not that you can't measure long-term performance. We're really addicted to measuring short-term returns. We're really good at that as an industry. We're less good about telling the story of companies that take big, bold risks, that know who they are in culture, that show up disruptively. The data will show you that it actually outperforms the S&P 500, that it actually outperforms other stocks. Our job is not to control the market. Our job is not to control the macro conditions. It's to outperform and get alpha on top of it. And when you can show that empirically, that great brands not only feel good, but actually outperform, it's a no-brainer with our CEO, with the board, with all the other stakeholders around the table.
Now we're here at Web Summit, Troy, one of the largest technology conferences, if not the largest technology conference in the world. And of course, AI is the name of the game.
Oh, is it? Interesting.
Never heard of
it. New thing.
Never heard that one, huh?
Give it a shot.
Can you use AI and still be unique and distinct and special and not just follow the crowd?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult. Look, I have a lot of empathy for clients. I think in the world that we operate in, we're regularly developing content. We're quite comfortable with that. And we will spend weeks at a time or days at a time developing something, and then we put it in front of a client and we look at them and say, buy it. And it's quite a ridiculous kind of scenario if you think about how to go through it. So I have a lot of empathy for that. Also for us to have confidence to go into a client with the right solution. In the past, a lot of it has relied on our intuition. It's relied on our ability to recall from somewhere else, something that we knew could be a way in which to be effective, or that we had some other reference point in culture that was going to be able to help us. But a lot of it was in the air, all right? A lot of it was conversation, a lot of it was trust. And so how do you provide confidence to both clients? How do you provide confidence to our people? Because the truth of it is, between a client and agency relationship, a lot of the time, there's sometimes people are worried about hurting the other person's feelings. And they don't always give them the candid feedback. They don't always give them the instruction that they need. So what we developed was a tool called the Brave Thing, which will hopefully come up in a second here. And it's a bot that's been built in order to be able to help drive an analysis to go on what is going to be distinct work. What is the kind of work that's going to break convention? So in this bot, basically, what we now do is we're able to upload creative that is going into this evaluator that has 5 criteria that it's going to score out of 100. And it gives you feedback and it gives you real direct criticism. In this instance, this one's called the Brave Thing. It marries up with a company called TBWA that has a platform called Disruption. And in that sense, we need kind of feedback that is a little sharp, a little edgy. And so in this case, the voice giving you feedback is Gordon Ramsay, the Gordon Ramsay of advertising. So Gordon Ramsay is evaluating our advertising and basically telling us, are we really breaking convention? Are we really being distinct? And is this worthwhile going to market with? So the category that you're looking up there is telecommunications. I think you could picture a telco ad in 2 seconds right now, someone holding a phone. And unfortunately, people do that a lot. They think if I signal this, you're gonna remember the brand. Well, it doesn't work. It isn't Brave, and basically it's a Xanax for advertising. So I think in this case, we would do that, and then we would put our work into that system to say, okay, are we living up to being brave? And are we really gonna be able to cut through with that work? And so we did this in the case for Telstra in Australia, and that work, I think that work there scored a 28 out of 100. That's the convention of the category. The work that we proposed, put in front, was an outdoor campaign. It scored 87 out of 100. But even with 87, it still tells you what are other areas which you could improve upon that. They would ask us to be a little bit more inclusive, that maybe we could be able to have a little bit more empathy. So even at that stage, it's there to do that. But what it mostly does is give us confidence And what it's built off is 35, 40 years of Omnicom's great creative case studies. So our lifetime of taste will give you a different answer than anybody else's. And so we can come to Mark with solutions and share the evaluation and kind of say, look, this is what the critique is versus everyone else in this category, this convention. And that is me being a better partner to Mark. That is us together taking a step rather than saying, be brave. That's not a great partner.
Amazing partnership. We need more collaborations like yours. In the last 2 minutes of our panel here on stage, let's talk about the future trends as well. We were talking about the cost of being dull. I'm sure you have a lot in the pipeline, not being dull, but exciting and innovative and disruptive. What is cooking in your kitchen at Hilton Hotels, Mark?
What is not cooking at the moment? You know, the key is, back to where we started, is being focused on what role culture needs you to play. Yeah. And we're all about the stay. We're all about that no matter what you're trying to do, whether you're McLaren F1, who's been our partner for 20 years, that every weekend are effectively playing a away match, right? They're away from home and still having to be their best every single race weekend. If our hotels can do that for them, what can it do for you? If our hotels can create that kind of experience for Paris Hilton when she's DJing all across the world, what can it do for your next business meeting? And so telling the story of how the physical space plus the service plus that technology unlocks that, things like for our families that want to book confirmed connecting rooms, this ability to make sure that when your kids are traveling with you, you know for sure you'll get the assigned room next to you. We're working on AI to make that possible. We brought that to life. Making sure our honors members get recognized consistently, that they get the upgrade delivered automatically through AI. We've already built that. That's already out in the marketplace. So the future is actually here. It's doubling down on the things that make the stay possible. And then working with partners to make sure we flood the zone with content so that as AI becomes the predominant chat and search feature, it's looking at premium products, not just as the cheapest, not just as the quickest, not just the closest location, but the one that's best for me. And that's what our job is to flood the zone with great content that tells the story of our stay and make sure that you know that any of our 24 brands is the best fit for your travel occasion.
Now, Troy, I'm sure you have very comfortable and cozy stays at Hilton Hotels and can sleep well at night. But what are some of the trends or developments or concerns you have for the future of the advertisement industry that keeps you awake at night?
Well, I'm certainly worried about the conventional activity that you could get from algorithms driving you to familiar places and data that could do that as well. So I think making sure that we carve out a unique place for us is probably my #1 priority. But I think it's also the fact that the solution isn't advertising always, right? And I think Hilton is the ultimate experience brand, you know, without doubt. So our solutions to be able to drive their business aren't always going to be an ad-like object. It can be an experience that's happening in the room. It could be something that is actually said from a person who works at the hotel. Right. That can enhance that experience. So we constantly have to interrogate whatever the issue is, think about the total brand experience, and say, how can we do a breakthrough way of enhancing that experience and making sure that we're delivering true impact against the promise that Hilton makes. And we've just got such a great partner, we've got such great trust that we know that we feel quite confident of our future, so we're less fixated on why everyone's afraid of. We're more about trying to exercise the opportunities that are in front of us.
And if you stay focused on what unique role you bring to the world, the innovations will change, the capabilities will change, what you're trying to do will stay exactly the same, and having a great partner to do that's been the key to our success.
3, 2, 1, and we finish right on time. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Troy Ruhanen, CEO of Omnicom Advertising Group, and Mark Weinstein, CMO at Hilton Hotels. Shukran Gasilam, thank you so much. Give it up for the gentlemen. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.